Bioshock is a first-person shooter developed by 2K Games that combines action, horror, and storytelling to create a compelling and, quite honestly, fucked up narrative experience. Set in the 1960s, the game begins with the protagonist Jack surviving a plane crash in the middle of the ocean. He discovers a lighthouse which contains a bathysphere that transports him deep underwater to the city of Rapture, an isolated metropolis founded by the idealistic industrialist Andrew Ryan. Rapture was envisioned as a utopia free from government, religion, and societal constraints, where individuals could pursue personal ambitions without interference. However, by the time Jack arrives, this vision has crumbled into chaos, and Rapture is overrun by mutated and hostile citizens known as splicers. As Jack navigates Rapture, he encounters an array of threats, from splicers addicted to a substance called Adam, which grants superhuman powers, to powerful beings known as Big Daddies who protect small girls, aka little sisters, themselves harvesting the Adam. The player must collect weapons, use plasmids, which are genetic modifications, but in a gameplay sense, magic powers, and to make moral choices regarding the little sisters, ultimately influencing the game's outcome. And I'm pretty sure that all the times I've played this, I've only ever gotten the same outcome because I only play it one way, because it's the only way I know how to play it.
Anybody order fried sauerkraut?
Jack is also guided by a mysterious man named Atlas, who urges him to oppose Andrew Ryan and unravel Rapture's dark secrets. As the story unfolds, Jack discovers the consequences of Ryan's libertarian vision, unchecked scientific experimentation, moral decay, and a descent into anarchy. And a little bit of spoilers here. I'll put a time mark. It's literally, if you skip forward like 10 or 15 seconds, you'll be good. The game's famous twist reveals that Jack himself was manipulated from the beginning, Jack being you, the player, highlighting themes of control and free will. With its rich atmosphere, philosophical undertones, and exploration of themes like utopianism, objectivism, and the dangers of absolute freedom, Bioshock has become a seminal game, not seminal, praised for its immersive world building and narrative depth. Bioshock's core gameplay includes exploration, combat, and character customization through a unique ability system. Players navigate Rapture's haunting Art Deco halls where they encounter splicers, Rapture's genetically modified inhabitants who have succumbed to madness, and Big Daddies, which are these like hulking, super heavily armored guardian-like figures protecting the very strange and creepy little sisters. These formidable enemies are central to Bioshock's combat strategy, as players must often weigh
Jesus Christ.
Risk versus reward when deciding to engage or bypass them. A key feature in Bioshock's gameplay is the use of plasmids. These are special powers acquired by modifying Jack's DNA with a substance called Adam. Plasmids allow players to harness abilities such as telekinesis, pyrokinesis, and the summoning of swarms of insects,
Not the beast! Not the beast!
which can be used in conjunction with traditional firearms to develop complex combat tactics. And surface level, it doesn't sound like it would be very complex, but you can actually make some pretty cool combos. Like when you electrocute the water when somebody's standing in it. That's always pretty cool. Setting shit on fire, pretty cool. Hopefully the FBI is not listening. Bioshock encourages players to creatively combine these powers with environmental elements, using electricity to stun enemies in water. Obviously, I just said that. Making combat dynamic and adaptable. Alongside plasmids, gene tonics provide passive boosts that enhance the player's physical attributes, hacking skills, and stealth abilities. Hacking is another important gameplay element, allowing players to take control of security systems, vending machines, and turrets. Success in hacking grants advantages such as cheaper items or automated allies, which enhance Jack's survival against Rapture's relentless threats. The game's design rewards exploration with hidden caches of resources and pieces of audio logs that reveal Rapture's dark history, adding depth to the player's understanding of the world and its characters. A moral choice system involving little sisters. These are the little creepers who harvest the atom from corpses, adds a layer of ethical decision making. And unlike, say, like new BioWare games where the choice is very obvious, or like these kind of like made up ethical decisions when it's really not very ethical, or the choice involving the little sisters actually is a decision to make. I will say that. Players can either harvest Adam from the little sisters, killing them, but gaining more immediate resources, or they can rescue them, yielding less Adam, but potentially unlocking better rewards over time. This choice impacts not only gameplay strategy, but also the game's multiple endings, lending a degree of narrative consequence to player decisions. And it was implemented very well. Like I said, it was, at least on the first playthrough, it was definitely not a hard decision, but just weighing the, because they're both positive outcomes when it comes to resource gathering, front-loaded or kind of back-loaded. And they're both good decisions in that sense. Bioshock's gameplay, with its blend of tactical combat, resource management, and ethical choices, creates a memorable experience that is both thrilling and thought-provoking. It challenges players to adapt to Rapture's hostile environment and unravel the mystery of the city's collapse, all while making choices that speak to the game's underlying themes of free will, morality, and the cost of unchecked ambition. The atmosphere of Bioshock is one of the most defining and memorable features, creating a haunting, immersive, and very oppressive experience that draws players deep into the world. Set in a decaying underwater city, Bioshock transports player into a retro-futuristic type world. It blends kind of like 1920s to 1950s like Art Deco architecture. It mixes that with advanced and kind of like eerie, creepy technology. It's really cool. The juxtaposition of beauty and horror is central to Rapture's atmosphere. As players explore abandoned ballrooms, luxury apartments, and laboratories, all remnants of a once glamorous society that has imploded unto itself. Dark, shadowy corridors and flickering lights set a tense, ominous mood as players encounter Rapture's inhabitants, the mutated hostile splicers who speak in fragments of once normal lives. The ambient sounds, including the distant echoes of dripping water, distorted jazz music, and unsettling whispers, enhance the game's sense of isolation and dread. This soundscape is interspersed with moments of violent encounters and sudden quiet, reinforcing the suspenseful atmosphere. Rapture itself is more than just a setting, though. It kind of feels like a character within the game. The city's disrepair and flooding add to the sense of foreboding, as rooms and tunnels are constantly at risk of flooding, reminding players of the precariousness of this underwater haven. The visuals and sounds create an atmosphere of decay, contrasting with glimpses of the city's past grandeur. Throughout, Bioshock builds an atmosphere that is all at once beautiful, haunting, and oppressive, drawing players into its darkly philosophical world and challenging them to uncover the secrets of a society that has attempted to create a utopia and ultimately failed. I kind of want to talk about Bioshock in 1984 because, as big fans of both, there is some pretty big parallels. So let's get into that. Bioshock and George Orwell's 1984 both present powerful portrayals of dystopian societies where authoritarianism and extreme ideology have devastating consequences. While Orwell's novel is set in a future totalitarian state, and Bioshock takes place in the underwater city of Rapture, both works explore the dangers of a of a society where ideals become oppressive, individuality is stifled, and citizens suffer under the weight of corrupt systems. By examining the parallels and themes of authoritarian control, manipulation, and the consequences of unchecked power, you can kind of see how both Bioshock and 1984 serve as cautionary tales about the fragility of freedom. In 1984, Orwell constructs a world where basically every aspect of life is controlled by the party, led by the figurehead Big Brother. Through propaganda, surveillance, and censorship, the party maintains its control, manipulating reality to suit its needs. Sounds familiar? The citizens of Oceania live in constant fear, knowing that even their thoughts are monitored and regulated by the thought police. On the other side, Bioshock's Rapture was initially conceived by industrialist Andrew Ryan as a libertarian paradise free from government and religious interference. His idealistic vision soon degenerates into chaos as Rapture's inhabitants succumb to the addictive power of Adam. Like 1984, Bioshock reveals how even the most well-intentioned ideologies can spiral into tyranny when they disregard human well-being and individual rights. Both Bioshock and 1984 illustrate the dangers of extreme ideological control and the way it affects a society. In 1984, the party's relentless pursuit of control over reality itself destroys any sense of personal freedom, forcing citizens into a life of obedience, fear, and isolation. The concept of doublethink, which is holding contradictory beliefs, is used to suppress dissent, as citizens are made to believe whatever the party dictates. The party's slogans, such as "War is Peace," demonstrate this psychological manipulation, creating a society where the truth becomes malleable and controlled. In Rapture, Andrew Ryan's vision of a free market paradise without restrictions on science or morality leads to an equally oppressive society. The lack of regulation allows science to experiment freely with genetic modification, giving rise to Adam. However, the unchecked power of this Adam leads to societal collapse as Rapture's citizens become splicers. Here, Bioshock warns of the dangers of unregulated science, paralleling 1984's warnings about the perils of a government that controls truth and reality. The use of surveillance is another notable similarity between Bioshock and 1984. In 1984, the party's constantly watching its citizens, using surveillance to monitor thoughts and eliminate any form of rebellion. Telescreens and microphones and the ever-present gaze of Big Brother make privacy non-existent. In both Bioshock and 1984, the leaders are paradoxically enslaved by their own systems. The party, while achieving its goal of ultimate control, breeds a world of misery, paranoia, and fear. Big Brother's vision achieves control, but it also destroys hope and happiness. Andrew Ryan, too, becomes a victim of his own ideals. His desire for a society free from parasites and restrictions leads him to impose his own iron rule over Rapture, ultimately compromising the freedom he valued. Ryan's famous line, "A man chooses, a slave obeys," is ironic because in clinging to his ideology, he himself becomes a slave to it, enforcing a dogma as rigid as the authoritarian systems he claimed to despise. Ultimately, Bioshock and 1984 serve as profound critiques of societies where ideology is valued over individual freedom. Orwell warns against totalitarianism, illustrating the perils of a government that controls truth and subjugates citizens through fear. Bioshock critiques the dangers of an unregulated society where scientific advancement and individual freedom become destructive without ethical and communal considerations. Both works remind us that any ideal, whether rooted in total control or total freedom, can become tyrannical if it disregards humanity. By examining these chilling visions of dystopia, we are reminded of the need to protect personal freedom, human connection, and the balance between individuality and responsibility in our own society. All right. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And instead of the regular outro, I'd appreciate it if you took a second, if you made it this far. Well, first off, thank you, but I'd appreciate if you just took a second and gave a little bit of constructive criticism on the video. If this is your first video, or if this is, you've watched multiple videos of mine, I would really like to know, what you think the video could do better. Is the video too long? Am I rambling too much? Do you wish it was shorter? Do you wish it was even more in-depth and longer? Is my narration like a little too stiff? Because I just, I write my script out and I just read it, and I kind of go off script every once in a while, but I kind of just read it for the most part. Did you wish it was a little more casual? Kind of like the outros, I guess. Yeah, let me know, because I'd really like to know, how to make the videos better, because I just don't want to keep doing things the same way. I'd like to make them better. Do you wish the editing was better? I'm still learning how to do that, but if that's something I need to focus more time on, then yeah. Do you like the memes? Or is there too many memes? Is there not enough memes? Is there just the right amount of memes? Do you wish there was none? Stuff like that. Whatever it is, go crazy in the comments. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I'd really appreciate it. Of course, I want you to comment about Bioshock too, but I'd appreciate it if you also left your feedback. And thank you again for watching, and have a blessed day.